Hi, I'm Brian LaRosa with LaRosa Trains on Facebook. Welcome to part 4 of my DCS mood series. As you can see, we are not at my layout for this video, and I'll explain why in a minute. A few years ago, I've already done a review of my MTH Premier CSX C30-7 diesel, which was made in 1994, but was eventually upgraded to Proto-Sound 2 in order for this engine to run on any command control layout like mine. And not long after I uploaded this video, some of you have written me comments about the sounds that this engine currently has, because you thought it sounded like an SD70 or something, which is not prototypical for this model. And because of that, you also suggested me about downloading a sound file for this engine to make it sound more realistic. Well, up until now, I did not have the DCS system, because the DCS system is required to download the sound files into the engine. Well, here it is, and I will download the sound file. Now, the reason we are not at my layout for this video is because we're at the computer, and our computer is upstairs, and so I had to bring all the required equipment to download the MTH sound file. Before I start downloading the sound file, I want to discuss two things. First of all, I'm going to play you some of the sounds that this engine currently has. And then second of all, I'm not going to show you a full tutorial on how to download MTH sound files, because there's already a video on YouTube on this process. I've actually seen a video uploaded by Eric Siegel about this process. So if you're new to this process, I would highly recommend it. You can learn more about downloading sound files by clicking on the link that's popping up on the screen right now. So anyway, I got everything powered up. I've got the track powered up with a TIU, and I got the remote powered up as well. So let's start up the engine so I can play you some of the sounds. Okay, let me play you the horn. And let's hear the bell.
Have they got that squared away yet?
I suppose you are right about the sound effect. It does sound pretty much like an SD70 diesel. So anyway, that's about all the sounds I can briefly show you, so I'm going to shut this engine down. Alright, so I will see you after I download the sound file. Okay, I finally got the new sound file onto my engine, and I think it does sound like a C30-7 diesel. I will play you some of the sounds in about a couple minutes. Now, I'm going to briefly show you how it's all wired up. To get a sound file onto the engine, the TIU has to be connected to a computer. Now, originally, the only way to connect the TIU onto the computer is to use a 9-pin serial cable onto the PC input port, and then if a computer has a 9-pin serial port, then the 9-pin serial cable would simply be plugged into that. But as far as computer changes go, my computer does not have a 9-pin serial port. So the alternative is to use a 9-pin serial cable with a special adapter to the USB port. And so that's one way to do it if a PC does not have the 9-pin serial port. However, more recent TIUs have another way of connecting connecting itself to the computer, and I'll show you. I'm using a USB cable because MTH was kind enough to offer the USB port on more recent TIUs so that I can connect the TIU directly to the USB port on the computer. And so that's how it's connected to the computer. But the other things required in order for the sound file to go into the engine properly is to do the same thing as I normally run my trains with. I have to plug in the power with a transformer and then connect it to preferably the fixed voltage input 1 channel. I'm not sure if it would work on the auxiliary power input port, which is over here. But other than that, I use the input 1 to make sure it's working. And then I have to connect the outputs side wires onto the track. You'll notice that I made the track myself. MTH calls it a programming track. And so basically the main purpose of the programming track is to avoid interference with the other engines on the layout if there are any other engines on the layout. That means I have to remove all the other engines off the layout in order for the sound file to go into the engine properly. Well, so that's the main purpose of the programming track. Oh, by the way, as I downloaded the sound file onto the engine, I encountered a couple of errors in this process, but I think it worked pretty well. So now I'm gonna start this engine up, and I'll let you hear some of the sounds. So let's start this up. Okay, let's listen to the horn. And let's listen to the bell.
Check the oil pressure.
So let me access a couple other sound effects, and then I'll shut it down.
Bent my elbow. Is he ready to go? He's in good shape.
Okay, let's shut the engine down. One last thing I want to show you before I end this video is how I found the sound file, the new sound file for this engine. So now, as many of you already know, MTH has already developed a new website earlier this year. This is what it looks like. But when I wanted to download the sound file on the newer website, there's no sound file available on it, but on the older website, this is what it looks like. I did find the sound file available. So right now I searched on the website for this engine, C30-7, and I used the Proto-Sound version, which is CSX, and then I found the most recent catalog, which is 2004, and then I clicked on this one. I selected to selected. So that's where I got the sound file from. However, there is the most recent version of C30-7 diesel. This was cataloged in 2012. Now one thing I want to point out is that before I downloaded the sound file, my main concern was compatibility, because not all sound files will work on any MTH engine. And the reason is that the older PS2 engines used to have the 5-volt system, but then the more recent PS2 engines now have the 3-volt system. So therefore, the 3-volt sound files will not work on any 5-volt PS2 engine, and then vice versa. The 5-volt PS2 sound files will not work on any 3-volt PS2 engines. And then when Proto-Sound 3 came out, my understanding is that PS3 sound files will not work on any PS2 engines, and vice versa. PS2 sound files will not work on any PS3 engines, and so I couldn't choose that because it may not be compatible with my engine. And however, because my engine was upgraded with PS2, it's actually the PS2 upgrade system is a 3-volt system. So I think that's about it for this video. Now, if you'd like to learn more about downloading sound files to MTH engines, please watch one of Eric Siegel's videos, and so you can do so by click on the link that's popping up again on the screen right now. So that's it for now. I'm Brian LaRosa, and I'll see you next time.